Today I'm going to be taking you down St. John Street and Cameron Street in Lafayette. St. John is, the church is the other direction. I'm just heading up it right now to get to Cameron. So I'm going to cross over Simcoe. The bread factory is to my left. It's the Evangeline Made Bread Factory. When you ride down here, when they're baking some, you can definitely smell it. Oh, we got a fella turning out right here. I may still be too far up. So the reason I want to go down Cameron is Cameron's really interesting, okay? It used to be sort of like a, I don't know, like an industrial corridor, kind of. It's got Ralph's Electronics. It's got a whole bunch of, like, you know, either stores or companies related to, like, industrial things. Morvant's Auto Electric, as you can see up on the left, used to be here. It's no longer here. So there's a lot of abandoned stuff on Cameron. There's a lot of stuff that's been converted to things like car lots and such. It's a pretty rundown section of road in town. But I've spent a lot of time on it because in the past I used to come down here to buy cheap used cars all the time. And then I lived up there in Scott, which is it's pretty much, it's off Cameron, but just much further down. We're gonna take Cameron up to Ambassador Caffrey Parkway, or you know what? No, I'm just gonna go ahead and take it all the way into Scott so you can see. I mean, as you can see, there's like some old homes. A lot of them, you know, are kind of run down. Some are missing roofs and such. Up here on the right, these are the Bottle Arts lofts. Those were actually built, I believe, a couple of years ago, and they house artists. Thought it was a pretty cool concept since before that, what we had right there was the infamous Les Pay Motel. Let's just say that they had hourly rates, and leave it at that. Got a big new O'Reilly's Auto Parts up there on the right. This is the intersection of Cameron and North University. It's a pretty busy intersection and can take quite a while to get through sometimes. My dash is saying that it's 102 degrees today. And I absolutely believe it. A lot of driving in Lafayette is just waiting for lights. At least here somebody's going, though. A lot of times you're waiting for a light and no one's even going. That's when it gets really frustrating. This is more of the section where, especially 10-15 years ago, there used to be a lot of little used car lots. Up here on the right, this building I'm coming on right now, that was an Army surplus, Dixie surplus, for a long time. by a used car lot from this one up here on the left. It was a 2000, I believe, Toyota 4Runner. That it was tan, and I painted it up and put some decals on it and made it look like one of the Jeeps from Jurassic Park. Oddly enough, that thing got more attention and more people wanting to take selfies with it than like any sports car I've ever had. And all it was some decals off of eBay and some red plastic dip spray. So we just passed another used car lot back there. Tire shop. Auto rental place. The new camera mount is more stable than the previous ones that I had. So Hot Food Express, we're just passing that. Another car lot on the left. Ralph's Electronics coming up on the right. Very handy, especially now that Radio Shacks aren't around to carry all the little bits and bobs you need to do electrical work. The intersection ahead is Ambassador Caffrey Parkway. Lot on the left. Basically, Cameron Street was the place that I would go anytime I was looking for a car, because I know like most people drop $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on a car like it's nothing, but I was raised rather poor and we drove $200, $300, $400 cars. I think the car that I have now is the most expensive car I've ever bought, and it was $11,000. So let's just say when I was younger, I was not buying $11,000 cars. I was usually shopping in the $500 to $1,800 range. Another car lot on the left, another car lot on the right. Then of course Service Chevrolet on the left. Another car lot on the right. And some nice new asphalt. And a car lot on the right. And then on the right coming up is a salvage yard for car parts. And if you take a left up there after the bridge, right there, that's Galbert Road. And down there's Pull Apart, so another salvage yard for car parts. So Cameron Street is kind of like the place to go for car stuff. And then there are several more salvage yards around here that I'm not sure if they're just not open to the public. I don't know how that works, but there's quite a bit of them around. You'll see like the big fences, and there are cars behind them, but they don't have like a business front. So exactly what's going on there, I'm not sure. So we are now entering Scott. Entering Scott from the east, I believe, because we should be running parallel to the interstate roughly. We just passed the freight trail. This is coming into the main part of Scott. Like I said, the roads are brand new, and from what I understand, they've added a turn lane up there, a right turn lane, which is really great, because before that you'd sit at the light forever when everyone, when one person wanted to go straight and everybody else wanted to turn right. It was usually like one person in 15 cars that wanted to go straight, and they'd hold everybody up. So if you've seen on the other videos, we lived here in Scott for 14 years. It's a really cute little town. I like it a lot. The only complaint I have is it has, I don't know, 2,000 times more traffic than it has any right to have. Another car lot on the right. I've bought 3 or 4 cars from that guy. It's Moray Motors. He usually has some good stuff for a good price. Yeah, I mean, Scott, on a good day, there should be 20 cars on the road at the same time in Scott. This should be a tiny little town. And nowadays, I mean, there's like 800 on the road in this tiny town at one time. It really makes no sense. So this is the coffee depot. As you can tell, I've turned off of Cameron. I think I actually am going to go back on Cameron. Now let me turn off here. I think I'm just so used to going to my old house that I decided to turn off even when I didn't have to. But I think I'm going to go ahead, get back on Cameron, and we're going to take it all the way to Duson, so that we have, I don't know, a logical ending to this video. Off to my right's Cashway Pharmacy. Up ahead is Leo Judy's Elementary School. Yeah, like Scott a lot. And when we came here, I already thought there was probably 3 or 4 times too many cars on the road than there should be, because it feels like a tiny little town that should have probably more foot traffic than cars, but for some reason everyone wants to use it as a cut through. If you're coming from Duson, you're coming from Eunice, you're coming from anywhere, instead of just staying on the interstate for another mile and turning off in Ambassador Caffrey, everyone thinks it's shorter to come through here, even though it probably adds 10 or 15 minutes to your trip. So, little tip, if you're from somewhere outside of Lafayette, stop cutting through Scott. All you're doing is adding time to your trip and adding traffic to a tiny, cute little town that does not really need it. That said, up here, this light, if you take a right, that's Apollo Road. Well, if you take a left or a right, that's Apollo Road. Now that Apollo Road connects and goes all the way out to Dulles and Rue de Bellier, look, if you want to cut through Scott, that's fine, but do it at the roundabout and just go, straight through. Please don't come through the center of Scott. I mean, it's going to be a lot slower for you. And there's a lot of houses right there on St. Mary. That I know that when they were built 30 or 40 years ago, there's probably hardly any traffic there. And now it seems like they're on a major highway, which is kind of crazy. So, yeah, as someone that lived in Scott for a long time, that is some beef that I have with surrounding areas. Is please stop using Scott as a cut through. It is not a shortcut. If you're going to, use Apollo now that it's open, because it's out here by the interstate. It's not really bothering anybody. Up here, I believe it's called Port Aggregates. It's that big tower thing you see off on the right. I used to come out here and get my rocks. The funny thing is, when I took my 4Runner out here, it's got a carpeted section in the back behind the seats. And they looked at me like, "Oh, you're going to come back with a trailer?" And I said, "No, I'm just going to roll down the window and shovel some rocks in there." And they're like, "Inside the SUV?" I was like, "Yeah, it's a truck." I'm real weird about that, in that if I have a car, I am extremely particular about it, and the tiniest scratch or the tiniest imperfection sort of drives me nuts. But if I have a truck, it's a tool, and I could care less You know, if I back into a tree, I just kind of laugh and go on about it. You know, if I've got a truck with a bed, I just toss rusty chains and tools and stuff in it, and if I scratch the sides, I laugh. I'll never understand that thing of don't scratch the bed. Well, it's a truck. You know, if you want a car, buy a car. I buy a truck as a truck. It's a tool. You know, live your life. Don't be so worried about it, and just use the thing for what it's for. It's kind of like buying a Corvette and going everywhere at 20 miles an hour. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So now we are on Cameron, heading west toward Duson. There's not much to see out here. So this is pretty much what you're going to see for the rest of the video, but you're welcome to stick around and watch it. A short little ways up here to the left, if you go back there, that's where Sunny Mead Reception Hall is. That's a really cool little place. Maybe one day when we're out in the Scott area doing a video, I'll pass by it, or maybe even ask the owner if I can go in and take a few shots. I've been out there dozens and dozens of times since I was a wedding videographer for 15 years and did probably 12 to 1,300 weddings. There's the turnoff right here to the left for Sunny Mead. In fact, if you got married in or around Lafayette Parish from around 2007 to around 2019 or so, something like that, 20, chances are I might have been your videographer. Quite Duson. This is Fieldspan Road. Not a whole lot to see out here. It's just a highway and some houses. A few small businesses. I feel like I should be commenting on something, but I mean, I think I kind of summed that up already. So in the distance, that is Duson. I will ride through Duson. But it's going to happen pretty quickly. The part of Duson on Cameron is pretty small. Duson in general is pretty small. And Cameron is the main drag that goes through it. And I mean, it's maybe a half mile of stuff. And not even a lot of stuff. Duson was one of the places we had thought about moving because it's kind of out of the way and it's really quiet, but it's still in Lafayette Parish. welcome to the town of Duson. So I see a church, a Dollar General, a Family Dollar, and a water tower. I mean, South Louisiana, you can't go too far without a Dollar General. Here's a family drugstore, which I'm not even sure if it's still open. It's hard to tell from the front. They might just be repainting. A Champagne Market. Chevron, and that was Duson. So I think that brings a natural conclusion to the video. If you're still watching at this point, thanks for doing that, and please don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys for the next video.